Yes, here we go. It is the T.N.F, the night we hand over the keys to use. And yes, I am not on camera right now. I got abused on holiday, Mark. Got battered, so I will not be on camera for the foreseeable right now.
Right.
Was that the equivalent of
was that Greengrass, was it?
Something like that, mate. Something like that. So apologies if you're used to seeing my daft cooking on the screen, but you won't be seeing it right now. Good to be back on the bus. I've not been for a couple of weeks, so big thanks to, first and foremost, to Big Phil, who has definitely been driving it with far more quality than I ever do. So big thank you to you, Phil. And cheers to all you who's contributed in the meantime as well. And thanks to everyone for sticking around on the bus in that time, because it has been just as busy as if I was on it anyway. I'm going to get my P45 off Phil one day. I'm telling you, Matt. I'm telling you, mate. That's what's going to happen.
Daft, isn't it?
Anyway, it is the night we hand over the keys to you. So remember to get the hashtag TNF in, and we'll get all your talking points discussed as well. That is the plan. Obviously, all eyes are on what is essentially a league decider now. Whether we want to call it that or not, I think it is. I think that this is where we'll know after Saturday whether Celtic have got the league title, green and white ribbons back on the trophy for the third year in a row or not. I think at the end of play on Saturday, it's that defining a game. And I'm more optimistic and I'm positive about it. I know, Mark, you're usually on the side of caution, so I'm interested to get your takeaway on it all tonight as well. And it might be contrasting views, you never know. And obviously, as I say, we are keen to get as many views on the bus as possible from all the passengers. Before we do all that good stuff, remember, give us a wee like. We are on at the earlier time of 5:30 now, so some folks still aren't quite used to that. So if you can give us a wee like, give us a share, slag my non-apparent hair. You're getting that joke, Mark. But aye, so remember buysports.com. Oh, I did a buysports.com order. So I have, because I've been working from home this week.
He says that, aye.
I got 4 steak and gravies, and the like deluxe ones are a wee bit bigger. Honestly, unreal. I got 4 Donadonis. I had a kebab pie for my lunch today. Disgusting, but it was great. It was absolutely great. Kebab meat for lunch, just in pastry. Can't go wrong. And what else did I get? I got 4 other ones. Oh, steak and blaggis.
Oh, aye, blaggis is beautiful.
Steak and blaggis. So it was a black pudding and a haggis mix. All right.
Aye.
So that was class. It's got a wee pepper sauce over it as well.
Oh, aye, that sounds good, mate. Sounds good.
It was class. It was class, mate. I really enjoyed it. Right, okay. We will get stuck in then. Can you hear my phone going off?
Is that your phone number?
It's my computer. Turn off all notifications for WhatsApp. There we go. That's WhatsApp off, mate.
You're going rap. What have you said online?
It's not one of those ones, mate. Don't worry.
On my phone during a Celtic match, about 500 messages a minute.
I know, mate. I know. It's work. It's work related. I'm stupid enough to give them my WhatsApp so they can send in videos and photos of work that we've done and stuff like that. So it all just comes back and bites you in the arse, mate, eventually. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Right, okay. Let's get stuck in. Judge, we are looking ahead Saturday to the biggest game of the season now. I don't want these to be the biggest games of the season. I think if Celtic take care of business at the start of before the season starts, that means that it would have been a European game that would have been arguably the biggest game of the season, and the league could have potentially took care of itself had we put ourselves and tooled up properly for both competitions. Now we find it in a situation where we go in Saturday. I do happen to think we're the confident side. All right? I do think we're the side with the momentum. I think there has been a shift. I think when you look, not just for what Celtic's done, I think we'll have obviously a peak over there as well, because we always do that in the bus. I'm not one of those obsessed people, Mark. I'm more than happy to admit I like a wee nosy at the neighbours. You know what I mean? And obviously the falling out between players, fans, etc. has been pretty spectacular over the last 7 days at their end. And is it all a recipe for a dream Saturday afternoon being a Celtic fan? It potentially is. But here we find ourselves in the biggest game of the season. I think when we look at the lineup Celtic are going to be playing, we're probably looking for someone like James Forrest now to step up. Now, if you tell me a recruitment process has been in place that is of standard, Celtic standard, or of any standard of a club that's progressive, and evolving, and a first team that is building and getting better year on year, which should be the basic pre-requirement. Every summer, you should come out that window with a stronger first team. Yes, there'll be profit made. Right? I get all that stuff. But the profit's there in the prize money the last 2 years. Instead, we still insisted on making profit and transfer spend and things like this as well. Or we took gambles on project players that haven't quite worked. I know people don't like the term project players, but I'm sorry. When it comes to me and I'm looking at James Forrest getting in the team, what else do you want me to describe? Some of the guys that won't get a sniff of a looking in that team that joined in the summer for combined millions of pounds, other than project players, because they can only be on some sort of project. There's a project at the door. There's a project in the first in years in the future. But either way, they're not part of the here and now when it matters most. And when it matters most, we're going to need to call upon the old guard of James Forrest, if you like. And I don't want the show to be all revolving around James Forrest, but I just want you to take that example. And then when we look at how Celtic have found themselves in a place where it's the 9th of May today, so the 11th of May, we play a game, the title's still up in the air, against rivals that we've got a massive financial gulf over, and yet here we are in a place where it's still up in the air, as I say, and the options that we've got ahead to choose from might be many, but at the same time, Mark, they're going to become few when you actually get realistic about who's going to impact this monumental fixture. That frustrates the life out of me, but notwithstanding that, I'm not going to lie to you, I am confident. I'm optimistic that just at the nick of time, the momentum shift seems to be with Celtic and the negativity seems to be surrounding them. Just in the nick of time, though. And I don't think this is all by design from Celtic. I think there's a bit of fortune as well.
I think normally when Celtic have got a bit of bad press, it's normally the media hyping it up and just finding any excuse to give us bad press. But they seem to be doing it to themselves just now. I mean, even the media has not really picked up on the fact they've had spats with the fans, the fact that they're getting booed sometimes under Clement. I mean, he's been booed about a dozen times at half-time, full-time in these stint at Rangers, and not once have you heard that the media pick it up. So they normally do it to themselves when they get bad press, and that makes it even sweeter, I suppose. We tend to get bad press for giving away too many corner kicks. You know what I mean? Let's be honest here. We're a target for the media, a target for the boo boys. But I mean, I'm not going to look too much into the fact that, I mean, in fighting and all the rest of it, that happens. I mean, and Rangers seem to be having a wee bad week here. I mean, two players fighting with each other and all that, fighting with the fans, the goalkeeper and the defender. That's never nice to see. I mean, unless it's happening to them, it's hilarious. But to be honest with you, boys, I don't think. I think any manager worth their salt will look at all that as background noise. The work will get done on the training ground. I would be sitting here if it was Celtic hoping that the work was getting done in the training ground. So I'm going to assume for the better part of me that Rangers are doing the same. You know, they'll see all the stuff they know as background noise or not. How they deal with that mentally is up to them. How they cope with the pressure, how they cope with the spectacle, that is up to them. That's for them to deal with. But I'm pretty sure it'll be in their training ground just to be getting on with the training, get on with their philosophy for the match and team selection, etc. But as much as I'm looking forward to the match, I mean, I have got airs of caution, boys. I mean, I thought Saturday was probably the best 90 minutes I've seen with Celtic all season, and I thought Hatate was good. I thought James Forrest was brilliant. I thought McGregor was back to 80% what we expect for our captain. O'Reilly looked decent. But Alistair Johnston again. I mean, the two biggest chances of the match for Hearts was the wee kind of chip shot that Hart managed to get his horn to, and then the header at the back post. Alistair Johnston again, absolutely fucking nowhere, and it worries me because instead of showing his man outside to the byline, he lets guys cut in. And then when they did run by him, he's happy to foul them and give away free kicks, and that's going to be Rangers' game plan. Talked to my dad the other day there. I don't think they want to win midfield. I think they're very happy to give up midfield. With what they proved this season, they're not too much concerned about Carl McGregor and Matt O'Reilly having space. They'll give that up. They'll want to defend deep and go for a long ball, and that's where my header comes in. But I've got an air of caution.
Do you see them, just very quickly on that, because it's easy to forget when there's loads of points made, because I think that's a really interesting one. Do you honestly think a style that's brought them no wins this season, they'll adopt again in this fixture when they have to win it? Because quite clearly it's a formula that doesn't work, Matt.
Well, the thing is, Bhoycie, I don't think you fling the baby out with the bathwater. That's their philosophy. They'll keep at it till it works. You know what I mean? It's sometimes you got to play with the cards you've got, and he probably knows he hasn't got a lot of ballers. That's a term I hate using, but he knows a long ball is his game, Bhoycie. And I think if he spends the week try to change it in one midfield against a three that on their day is the best in the league, on their day can also be the worst in the league, let's be honest, but on their day they can be the best in the league, then he's going to be deviating from his game plan. I think they dominate possession quite a lot. Their tactic is, without a doubt, get the ball wide, get the ball into the box, or get the ball wide and make a long ball. And that's why Tavernier and things like that are so hampered by Maeda, because he stops him running 50 yards up the park and try to get a ball in the box and try to win free kicks and all the rest of it. And that's my concern. I mean, because I think Celtic play into their hand, because Celtic will give any team 20 free kicks a match. They just will. You look at, we play Bucky Thistle, but we'll still get away 15 fouls. We can't wait to foul folk, you know what I mean? And when you've got a team whose game plan is get the ball wide, win a free kick, then you've got guys like Arthur Johnson who wake up in the morning dying to give away free kicks. And then, I don't know, it concerns me that way. As much as I'm thinking about how Celtic can perform going forward, that's on the front of my mind, how Celtic can perform. But I've seen folk on Twitter. In fact, see the biggest, I think it's pissed me off this week on Twitter is you've got half the support telling us all how the Rangers fans are going to be gutted that Wally Collum is the manager, is the referee for the match, and then the other half saying how Wally Collum didn't give a free kick in 2012. I've had enough of Twitter talk about referees, boys. Honestly.
I'm glad you've said that.
Every Rangers match, the guy Lint on Twitter, I don't think he's a Celtic fan, to be honest with you. I think he just likes to post free kicks that Rangers got. He's just constant. Some of his stuff's really good, but I'm just fed up watching that. I think if anybody should be glad that Wally Collum's a referee, it should be Rangers, because this guy's not refereed a big match since Rangers called him out. Jinky doesn't want to get cup finals and derby matches. He knows that he goes in my favour. And then one hour it was all Rangers fans have got to be raging. Then when reality set in, it was like, oh, hang on a minute here. Then you've got posts. It's like when Rangers play, boys. Say I've stopped going on Twitter when Rangers play, because all I see is when's their first penalty bingo. Just folks I jinx it. I think there's a large section of your support that are absolutely dying for Rangers to get a penalty just so they can post about it. They're dying for it.
I'm glad you've highlighted that as well. It's interesting the few points that you made in your sort of opening tonight, because see, when I'm looking at like what Rangers do, you think they'll adopt the same strategy. I don't think that'll be enough for them, if I'm honest with you. I don't think that'll be enough for them. But I think you are right, though. I absolutely think you are right. I think that they might not have the tools to adopt something else, but in a must-win game, if you can only go to default and play the same system that's failed you in the previous 3 derbies this season at Celtic Park, then hell mend you when we have a bit of fun, as Brendan talked about it, and we'll talk about his mind games in a wee second as well. But I want to now talk about the referee situation, because I do think there's an obsession with it amongst our support that I don't think's always that healthy. I think at times we need to accept we were clamouring, for example, for VAR. Now, if you had your eyes closed, your ears covered, and you were trying to rub your tummy at the same time, then fair enough, you wouldn't have known it was going to be more of the idiots running the asylum than it was before. But we told you this. We told you this on the bus. We tried to explain from that point. I don't mean that in a patronising, condescending way, by the way, but we had good open debate for hours and hours over many a show going, when this VAR comes in, be warned, that this just means more of the guys that you don't trust now making decisions and getting 2 goes at it. We had these conversations, mate. It's all there. And I'm a bit now taken aback at the attitude that suddenly there's this faux shock horror at decisions not looking all that clever or all going our way. See, to be perfectly honest with you, I don't think the referee is the biggest obstacle for us. If I'm totally honest, I think you flip the Lagerbielke decision with Dessers and you put that as a Rangers defender and a Celtic striker, and I think your man Lint, for example, has a million angles of that, mate. I think he'd have a million angles of that, mate, to show that was ridiculous and it's becoming a non-contact sport. I think when you look at the Johnson handball, things like this, you go, over the piece since Vals came in, I don't think it's been all that anti-Celtic. I think the Tynecastle one has been owned. Now, yes, I totally agree, by the way. Rodgers called it incompetency. When you actually reflect on that, he was entitled to do that if the decisions were of an incompetent level. And it turns out they've now came out and admitted they were incompetent. So, for me, that's one that sticks in the craw a wee bit. But notwithstanding that, over the piece, let's just be realistic here. This is not going to be dictated by referees. And I think that attitude that seems to take over so many Celtic fans looking at who's in the VAR, who's the fourth official, who's the referee. You're now getting that you're getting that list before folk are even sharing the Celtic starting lineup. It's the ref lineup now that you get first in a group chat, you know. And it's like I'm not that taken by the fact the refs have played that big a part in the direction of travel, whatever direction of travel it will be. I think it will come to Celtic Park, but that trophy will take. I don't think it's all going to be defined by referees when we look back on this season whatsoever. I actually think it comes from a position of slight inferiority complex amongst some of the fans. Some of them, just a wee bit of fear, and it's okay to be nervous. It's okay to say, do you know what, I'm just a nervous wreck. You're the first one to do it. You do it all the time. You'll go, Bhoycie, I get myself nervous, and that puts me in my comfortable space when I'm feeling nervous is to be a wee bit cautious. Do you know what I mean? And I get that. Yeah. I think a lot of I think it's deflection a lot of the time with the refs is, see if you think Celtic might choke, why don't we just own it and say, you think Celtic might choke because you've not been that impressed by Celtic this year? That's probably closer to the truth. And one of the reasons why I'm not overly focused on the refs is I genuinely don't think it will be decided by them, because I think Celtic go into the game massive favourites. I want to now move on to the momentum shift that I was talking about at the top of the show, Mark. Because, yes, we've earned it a wee bit. I think you were raving about the display as well at the weekend. I know you were at the game. And you came out in the group chat absolutely buzzing with the performance to a man, pretty much. And Cal McGregor included, which was nice. And I think, to be honest with you, that's a massive aspect of it, to get the momentum shift. Then you've got the other side of it. Jack Butland not spending long enough signing autographs, when he does it every game apparently, but he had the Player of the Year awards to attend. We've seen Barisic pushing a fan. We've seen the manager obviously having the absolute meltdown, in my opinion, in reaction to the Rodgers comments, where he said he would never say that about an opponent. Then the game finishes, and after the game he says, now we're going to have fun too. I don't know if sometimes as well we actually bait for this stuff because it's not someone's first language. And I think sometimes things sound more definitive from a foreign person using their second language than maybe what they are in reality. But not that aside, I think we've got to be honest and say there does seem to have been a momentum shift going into this one, Matt. Even if you are on the side of caution with it, you can't deny that Celtic performance-wise look to be maybe in their best phase of the season, believe it or not. And we can argue over the summer as to, that being the case when it's James Forrest included, that shouldn't have been part of the setup when we were doing our recruitment drive in the summer. But I also look at these wee examples from over there, and it looks like the pressure's getting to them. Do you think the momentum shift plays a big part going into the game? I'm not one of those folk very quickly who falls in the trap of going, everything goes out the window in a derby. I don't quite subscribe to that. I think there is momentum patterns. I think if you look back, always go back to 2007-2008 season. Remember, we were about 7 points behind, something like that, with two derbies, had to win them both. I felt Celtic were like a magnet to that trophy that year. They just drew the trophy closer and closer to them. And those games against Rangers, I definitely think it was the momentum going into them that played a part. And you always felt we were going to get those late winners that we did. Where are you feeling in terms of the pendulum swing right now? Is it firmly in the balance, or do you think it's advantage Celtic going into this weekend as well?
Well, I don't think I'm not one for pendulums. I'm always one for how Celtic are feeling. You know what I mean? Like, I think if Celtic are in a good place, there's nobody else can beat us. You know what I mean? Rather than looking about who's getting a bit of press or who's feeling a bit more optimistic, I think the Hearts game, even before the match, there was something in the air. You could feel it. You could feel that the place was going to be rocking, and the place was rocking. And even when they scored that goal, and then they done the VAR check, and the roar after that was as loud as you're going to hear. So I think it's more like, see, rather than the momentum or who's having the good press, I always feel like it's how Celtic are feeling. You know what I mean? And how we're feeling about Celtic, because they could be winning 9-0 every week. But see, if we're feeling good about us, we don't really worry about them because we know we're better than them at the core, you know what I mean? But I do feel like Celtic are in a good place just now, boys. They are, you know what I mean? This season has swung back and forth. I mean, you look at the day they sacked Beale, for talk's sake. I mean, we lose a goal in the 93rd minute and then score one in the 94th or whatever it is. In the 93rd minute, we've drew that game. Rangers win at Ibrox that day and go top of the league. We didn't. We got a 94th minute winner, and then they lose that match. That's how football can turn like that. You know what I mean? They can, if they drop points, their players grow an extra couple of inches and they win that match. You know what I mean? They do. And that's what I'm meaning. Like, say, I'm glad it's at home. You know what I mean? I'm glad it's 60,000. You name it. It's all looking like it's gone for us and all the rest of it. And we're feeling good about ourselves. And I'm more focused on about how we're feeling about ourselves, other than momentum. Because momentum, I think, in football is very important. I mean, I think if you get into a match with 5 wins, then you're going to be confident you're going to get the 6th, rather than maybe 5 games you've dropped points in. And because that does matter. And I do think in these matches, when the whistle goes, I'm just as nervous. Even when 2017, when we're playing against fucking basically a jumped up Rangers team that shouldn't be wearing the strip. Even when we're playing a team of that standard, I was always just as nervous as what I was doing watching Martin Neal's versus like Advocates team. Sure. Just as nervous. I mean, to me it's all about Celtic. You know, I do focus on how Celtic are feeling. But this week, I feel like Celtic Twitter and the Celtic world have been, feeling good about themselves. You know what I mean? Most people are tipping a big victory, which scares me a wee bit. But the good thing is, I don't think Celtic players and Celtic manager worry about what Marc Cairney and Russell Bhoycie is saying on Twitter and how much we're wanting Celtic to win 9-0. I don't think that matters to them. I think they'll be fully focused on the job. But I hate it when the fans are too cocky. I think they're actually dying. They're desperate for it to go wrong so they can get their ears chewed off them on Monday morning at work. I don't go down that road. I'm always cautious. So I think what you're saying, momentum has swung in Celtic's favour, but momentum only lasts 90 minutes, Bhoycie.
Sure.
Because I think you could get this Saturday morning as champions elect, and you could walk away Saturday afternoon as a team that's fucking blew it. You know what I mean? That is how thin and fickle this league is, Bhoycie, this season, which we've created. I mean, they've had 2 managers this season with blue points left, right, and centre. We've not lost a derby match, and we're still find ourselves in a position where we need to win matches. And I don't think Celtic should be in that position with a manager on £3 million a year and £20 million spent on transfer kits. Money's been wasted, and but that's another story. I do think, in all honesty,
it is worth reviewing, though, isn't it? Come the end of the season, I think there has to be, regardless of the outcome, Mark. Sorry to cut in, mate, but regardless of the outcome, mate, of Saturday and the league itself and the Scottish Cup, once all said and done, there has to be some sort of steward's inquiry, if you like, from all of the supporters. A post-mortem is a great way to describe it, Matt.
And you know what? I said to my dad on the phone the other day there, and I think he took me the wrong way. I said, but what I was saying was, it'll probably almost be a bad thing for Celtic's transfer windows in the summertime if we win the league. We win a double, the board will go like himself, told you that would work. They'll say that. We knew that.
That's why it's so important that this post-mortem, if you want to call it, the pressure has to be continued, Mark.
Because can I tell you something? I actually called it about 3 or 4 months ago. You might remember me saying this on the pod, but I said that you might just see the shortest ever deadline for your season tickets.
You did say that, mate. Yes, you did.
And the reason why I thought that'd be a case is because they want our money in early. They're going to force us to buy early, force our hand to make a decision, knowing fine well that before they even kick the last boy this season, they'll have our money, and there's no pressure on them, financial pressure on them to win the league, to strive in the summertime. They'll get a £60 million for the Champions League. They'll sell Matt O'Reilly. They'll sell their corporates, and they'll sell their strip. The £100 million come through the gates by the end of June. That's probably what will happen if they win the league. You know what I mean? And we'll see Bernardo coming in. And let's talk of this Motherwell goalkeeper. I watched the Celtic huddle breakdown, and they were talking about that keeper, that Liam Kelly, and the words they kept on using was saying how atrocious this guy was. They were doing a Celtic Motherwell kind of pre-match, and we're saying, look, Celtic can annihilate this Motherwell team if they attack them the right way. This goalkeeper is absolutely horrendous. And then I'm seeing reports about Celtic wanting to buy Liam Kelly from Motherwell, and I go, fuck me, I'd rather Scott Bain, boys. I'm not going to lie to you. But this is that. So that's what I'm saying. I want us to win the league. Of course I do. It goes without saying that. But I'm just saying, it's like I can almost see them sitting with their cigars and the end of May. Celtic won a double. They will pat themselves on the back. They'll not reflect on this and say, "Oh, do you know what?"
I think it's deeper than that, Mark. I actually think this is their dream season.
Aye.
Because I've spoke about this, and I know it sounds like we're trying to be a pair of Nostradamuses tonight. Do you know what I mean? Reflecting on things we've maybe said in the past.
When we get stick for giving their points, we deserve to get a wee bit of...
That's true, mate.
Aye.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I don't know who this Celtic spokesperson is, right? He's got a wee sort of Cape Crusader fucking detective sort of avatar. But he keeps going, that's you bringing up your pals' comments again. I've never met anyone whose comments have brought up, like none of them. I don't know any of these people other than from this forum, mate. So either get involved, Celtic spokesperson, and make a half-decent point. That's for those listening on the podcast, this is the guy's username. But either make a point that we want to bring up, mate, all right? Or just shut your mouth and shut the door on the way out. Nobody cares, mate, right? But see if you make a point of bringing it up, I'll bring it up. Do you know what I mean? He wants a fight. Ram it. You coming off your bus at Celtic Way. I don't think that makes much sense, mate, but you keep being hard.
Let's you coming off your He's pissed.
He's pissed. I mean, stuff like that is sad because we don't need that in the chat. So I'm just going to give you a wee block, mate, because there's just no need for it.
I'm going to every home match. You can talk to me if you
want. It's a wee shame. But listen, I gave him an opportunity. He called me a banger, and I still didn't ban him. But I think now we'll just do.
Go and watch the Rangers podcast. It sounds like you've maybe came through there.
Wee shame. Now, I want to talk to you now about the mind games, Matt. The mind games that have went on. Now, I know there is always going to be, and I wonder if you're part of it. I'm not saying you are, I just wonder if you are, that don't like the too cocksure Brendan Rodgers, or whether you subscribe to the box office Brendan. I actually happen to think neither. And I'll tell you why. I think Rodgers, we've spoke about this when he got the job and we were waxing lyrical about his reappointment, an elite manager, and me and you both spoke at length about his psychology. That is something that he is absolutely to a T on. And this year, I actually think, funnily enough, we've seen chinks in the armour with that, where he just maybe read situations wrong. And I wonder if... What was that?
I don't know if my neighbour is just banging about. Fucking shot, man.
That was the slowest turnaround ever.
Oh my God.
That was the death stare you gave there. That was the death stare. I felt that, mate.
It's not a fucking dog, it's that. Just shut up. Sorry, carry on, regardless.
Sorry. Mark's in a Roy Keane coming out there. Love it. Now, see when it comes to the psychology battle, I think he has got a few things wrong this season. I think when he first came back, the one thing that Brendan did misplaced in terms of his personality is I think he was inserting himself back into when he was favourite of the week, 5 years before. And it was almost like he'd erased the 5 years. Everything evolves really quickly. Celtics are some of moving parts faster than most. And I think when he's tried to be the Brendan the first time around, it was like, that won't work this time because you departed. You won't just be able to pick up where you left off from the good point. When you left, there was a wave of negativity, But I wonder this week if he has got it right. I think when we look at everything he says, Mark, right, is deliberate. That's what I think. And that was the point I was going to make there before that someone rudely knocked on your window or whatever it was. What's annoyed the Rangers manager is Brendan's giving him bait and he's biting every time. I think he must not believe that he's bitten as well. I bet he's even raging that in the back of a 4-1 win at home where they weren't great, he's came out and mentioned Rodgers' comments again. He'll be kicking himself for that because we look at who Clement was in the first 5 months he was at Rangers. That's not that guy. That's just not that guy, mate. He didn't seem too, apart from when he was standing behind the fence. That's quite funny. But other than that, in general, he wasn't that guy, mate. And it's like, there's two sides to it. Rangers, I think, drag this personality out in their managers, right? It just does. It sucks their soul out, mate, and turns them into, these sort of petty bastards, right? As the walls close in, I think it brings out these personality traits in all of them. But from a Rodgers point of view, I know some fans don't like the fact that Rodgers has sounded maybe a bit cocky with it. We'll have some fun next week. I'm not even convinced he meant it like that. See, if you listen to the interview, I think he was saying, I think he kind of got his words a wee bit sort of jumbled and then they've just ran with it. But see, by running with it, I think Rodgers now won't correct it because he's seen what's happening. Like, that was actually like a deflected goal as opposed to an open one. Do you know what I mean? I think he meant it should be fun at the weekend. Like it should be, these are the occasions that we look forward to as Celtic. And then he kind of goes out and he says, we'll have fun. But if you listen, there's a bit of hesitation before he says it. And I think he's just slightly got his words slightly jumbled. Press have jumped on it, instantly tried to make it a negative. And for me, Philip Clement has turned it into a positive. I think Rodgers, in his second half of this season, has got a lot right with the media, mate. I think when he came out against John Beaton and called it incompetent, I think that's got to curry favour with the fans because it's not an offensive term. He's not dropped to really low standards as a Celtic manager by saying incompetency. He's not bringing the club into disrepute in any way, shape or form. And also, the other example was, of course, the good girl one, where he had that absolutely nailed. He says, I say good man or good girl. And we live in a world of equality, Mark. You cannot have good girl being patronising, but never blink an eye at good man. So if he says good man, is that patronising? So are we in equality or are we not? So either way, he had them on toast for that. And I think that worked for him a wee bit as well. I think he got that siege mentality to an extent. We're not talking about Jose Mourinho's Chelsea here in siege mentality terms. But I do think Rodgers is the psychological warfare that goes on in the background of these long league campaigns that have had peaks and troughs, particularly this one, Matt. I think he's got the majority of it right. And I wonder if just a wee bit of fortune's landed in his lap this week with a comment I don't think was meant to be or run as deep as it has actually really set the head on a light. And I wonder if, we will be hearing as one of the commenters posted a minute ago, whether we'll be singing House of Fun as Lackwinder Paul comes in. He says, "Hey, lads, magic show. It's the big derby. Welcome to the House of Fun." I wonder if that'll work in his favour this time because I was surprised by the reaction of our rival manager.
I think he bit straight away. It was like the biggest fishing rod you can imagine. I said it at the time, Bhoycie, I think I put it in the chat. I don't think he meant it. I think he just if you actually listen to what he said, he'd be saying, "Oh, we work hard all week, and then we'll have a bit of fun at the weekend." Basically, something like that. I'm paraphrasing, but I think and the Rangers manager's fucking, he fell for it a belter, you know what I mean? But to be honest with you, the guy looks a bit unhinged now. He really does. I'm not saying he's collapsed or he's panicking or he's fell off a cliff at Rangers. Far from it. He's still getting results, but I just think the guy he's beginning to show these signs of being the typical Rangers manager who just spouts utter.
Is it him or is it the club, mate? That this is what
Well,
happens.
I did believe genuinely that when they arrive, because they arrive from different countries nowadays, Mexico and everything. I think when they arrive, they're given like this is who we are. This is what we preach. This is how we say things. I think without a doubt they're given that kind of spiel. You know what I mean? And be the establishment club and never say it in bad nor rest it, but blame everybody else all on us. You name it. They're given that speech and they find it straight very, very early what the fans like to hear. I said before that Rangers don't play to the gallery. They are the gallery. They're all they're all as bad as each other. Somebody in the director's box is just as bitter and stupid as the person sitting in the enclosure at Ibrox. You know what I mean? They're all the same, mate. But they seem to attract the biggest fucking heat bangers in the world, man. Honestly, the other one that I thought sounded like he's not a crackpot is Van Bronckhorst. He seemed to be a fairly decent kind of guy, you know what I mean? Never seemed to really get fucking stupid with it. And Rodgers, I don't think you said I think they made a goal at Ibrox with Tavernier. That's a kind of deflected on goal he got, you know what I mean? Deflected goal that Rodgers got. He didn't mean it. I don't think he meant it at all. I don't think he's the kind of guy that would be disrespectful. I remember him talking about the video.
Okay, well, very quickly before you give that example, yes or no, is it a disrespectful comment even if he did say and did mean it as we're going to have some fun at the weekend? Let's have some fun. Is it disrespectful?
No, if grown men can't sit in a dressing room and take comments like that, if they've been upset about it, then what is this? I mean, fuck's sake, we've already get this sport's turned into a game for fucking pansies as it is. You know what I mean? The guys want to
exactly.
So just shut up and go on with it. I wish every company just shut up and go on with it. To be honest with you, and honestly, as I say, I remember Rodgers. Be careful what you wish for comment after the Rangers players were celebrating.
Oh, I love that.
And I don't think he's that stupid that he would get. What I will say is, I says my dad idea as well. I mean, if the Rangers dressing room or management need speeches after the Celtic manager or comments for the Celtic manager to perform well, they're a bigger state than what I thought they were in. That should be like that for them. They should be totally oblivious and totally ignoring the background noise. I don't think Carl McGregor or Brendan Rodgers gets upset with Todd Cantwell's comments. I really don't. I just do not think so. I think sometimes they maybe have a wee laugh at them, but I don't think they pin up the dressing room and go like that. I think Celtic maybe take motivation for the media and how they behave with us.
Yes.
I don't think Rangers comments spur us on. I think the media writing us off in November, December and seasons probably does play a part in how Celtic.
Yeah. But on that note, which I think is very interesting, I mean, do you think that then means if they are using that as fuel, if you like, to get themselves in the zone, and they're using this sort of disrespected, man, is that not really, Mark, when you think about it, a sign that they're relying on it to be that, because all the other avenues of logic are now beyond them, i.e. we have to win. The games are running out, the points gap, the goal difference gap is running out, the actual motivation and the belief system that we need when we've not won in the first three. We've had a lead at one point, we clawed the lead back, we've still blown that. We've had victory snatched, by the jaws of defeat, all that sort of thing. I wonder if they have to cling to things like this. They have to make a bigger deal of it because it's all they've got left. And maybe the reason you don't see, or your attitude, I think I agree with you on it, is Celtic don't focus on these things as much because Celtic trust in their sort of process, if you like. I hate that saying. But they trust in their process that we'll get over the line, right, if we keep doing Celtic things. And I wonder if, from their point of view, I just wonder if they have to cling on to stuff like this right now because it's actually all they've got. And is that not maybe an indication, again, as to deep down acceptance, even from their end, that the odds are stacked against them this weekend and they actually might leave Celtic Park knowing that the league title is staying at the place they've just played?
Well, this is it. I mean, they've got to the home of the champions, and a victory for Celtic will confirm they're the champions again for this season. And it's been a hell of a season. So they've had as much ups and downs as what we have. So the mental side for them is just as probably a bit harder because I think the press create a monkey for that mob's back. You know what I mean? It's like as I always mention, England going into a World Cup or a Euros. I think the press are a hindrance to them, you know what I mean? Because they offer no other solution other than a win, and they did in Scotland as well. I mean, they had the trophy wrapped up as soon as Clermont took 3 points after our lead. They were talking about Celtic being a mess when we were 5 points ahead, boys, if you remember right.
Spot on, mate.
Celtic are in turmoil and they were 7 points clear.
You know but see, to be honest though, is Hugh Keevers right now? He's a bona fide Celtic fan.
That, I had a drink with him. Me and my pal Steg, who watched the show.
Fantastic.
We went to Clyde One Studios to do a live show. And after the live show, my mate was done. Anyway, so he came over and he had a bottle of red wine. That's what he drinks. We had a couple of pints with him, and I talked about Tommy Burdens and Pat Bonner with a good laugh about that. And then I said to him, do you ever think it's just for the sake of it? He went, it's bought me a housemate. He says, I've done it for 30 years.
Do you know what I think though?
He admitted that to me and Stig. My papa will tell you.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, the guy's box office, anybody see whether you like him or hate him.
Yeah, I like him. I
think he's all right. I know. I think his controversy, Bhoycie, has got him a guy in his 70s who's probably maybe 3 generations away from anybody knowing who he is, and he's still a topic of discussion. He's still
the number one pundit voice in radio by a mile. Because he can split opinion, not because you have to agree with him, but he is the dominant voice still of, like, he is the voice that can tickle either side and antagonize either side more than any other one. But definitely,
Sky Sports have changed their panel about 5 or 6 times because they need to roll with the times. Now they've got some plonker who laughs at any sentence somebody says, and you get on these sitting there, a point football player, but just hitting out with stupid wee statements and some bird who's fucking came from anywhere. That's the new generation. I'm sorry to say that's they all want to see. They all want to see jokes and laughs about each other rather than talk about football. I don't watch Sky football; it's a lot of shite. But they've changed over the years. It's been like serious guys, and it's So he's been through all the process. He's been through the Derek Johnston's, the David Provins, the Frank McAvenny's. He's been through all of them for 30 years, and he's still at the end of it. 4 or 5 different presenters. He is still twice a week, 3 times a week, Bhoycie. I mean, probably paid his daughter's weddings different way, you know what I mean? And
I also wonder as well.
I mean, so the guy does see controversy, Bhoycie. People want to know your opinion.
I don't think it's just controversy. Here's my thought. I think there's a bit of you in him where I go, he's a Celtic fan, right? Bona fide Celtic fan. There's no two ways. Yeah. I think he's one of the folk who fear the worst first and then take it for there. So I think sometimes it might sound controversial, but when he sees Celtic 5 points behind, he goes, oh, that's at least fucked. Now, I'm not saying yours as dramatic as that, but you definitely go, we'll not win this league. I don't mean that in a bad way, but that's kind of your initial sort of go-to would be, oh, for fuck's sake. I don't mean that in a bad, it's not a bad thing. I think it's because you care. And I think
if you listen to him, he probably started watching Celtic religiously as a teenager or a 20-year-old watching the Lisbon Lions play. So every other team fade that will be a disappointment. I mean, you go back even to the teams in the 80s, they were good in spells, but they weren't historic teams, you know what I mean? So he's probably saw Celtic and he sees a sharp decline in the standards season after season. and he probably thinks
Yeah.
this is as bad as it gets. But I like me, I do think maybe it does see the worst side rather. But do you know something? I don't think there's anything wrong with that either. The only difference is we've all in our own brain get a negative side, but we don't always speak it. Some folk just say how they feel, you know what I mean? That's a big difference.
I always remember with Keevans when I was young growing up, there was obviously a lot, he was on George Bowie a lot of folk in the live chat are talking about that. And I remember it because that's how I woke up in the morning before school. 7:30, it was my radio alarm, radio would go on straight away, that was the alarm, it was Clyde 1. It was George Bowie and Hugh Keevans, but Hugh Keevans like almost like the co-host. Get what I mean? Like he was doing way more than just the sport. He was literally like in the studio the whole way through. It was class. But I remember in that time he was obviously still a pundit on Super Scoreboard, and I always remember Henrik Larsson the season he was leaving, and there was a rumour Kevin Phillips for Sunderland. I think he'd won the Golden Boot in England only 2 years before, and you could hear the defiance in him, like because like you're saying, grew up in a golden era of the Lisbon Lions and stuff. And when it came to Kevin Phillips being a potential replacement for Larsson, he says he could not lace his boots. And I thought, fucking hell, that sounds like a Celtic fan talking. Because realistically, if you're a football fan, you go, someone who outscored Thierry Henry in that, like when you're in the EPL for Sunderland, I think they do okay up here at 29, 30 years old, do you know what I mean? But he was, I always thought that, I wonder if he's a Celtic fan. Because I was young then, I didn't know. But moving on from Hugh Keevans, we've got a few comments to go through, Matt. And it takes me back to the top of the show when I mentioned, I don't agree with James Forrest being the answer. But boy, oh boy, is he the answer. He has to start at the weekend, mate. I am in no doubt in my mind. I look at his composure in the ball, his decision-making when he's got the ball. I look at his goal, which defies what Rodgers said about the intensity of the press. Well, it was the second half when he closes down the press. Yes, he gets a break of the ball, but he finishes. That was Dundee away, I'm sure. His second goal against Dundee. That was all because he closed it. He was doing the press. So I think Forrest should have been an answer from the start of the season based on his form right now. And when I look at how ruthless Rodgers has been with the centre-back arrivals, I wonder why he's not shown the same ruthlessness to the likes of a Yang. And I don't pick on the guy, 30 games, 3 goal contributions, and overall pretty pish, in my opinion. Right? That's just it. I know it sounds flimsy to say that. It's just a fact. He's not been compelling signing whatsoever. And I look at James Forrest now and going, I don't agree is the answer, but Spacey thinks Brendan Rodgers looking after him the way he did with Bruni. I don't necessarily agree with that, Spacey. I do think Forrest will play a big part between now and the end of the season. I think he has to start at the weekend. Wow. But he's not looking after him the way he did with Bruni. Otherwise, Yang wouldn't have the 30 appearances he's got this season, and Forrest will have a hell of a lot more goals and assists as well as appearances that he currently sits on.
Well, no, definitely. But the thing about Bruni and Forrest, Bruni was playing every minute for Celtic. He was just playing in a different role. Forrest has been called the best player in the club, and then no played for 3 months. You know, I mean, it's been different with James Forrest. He was fairly fit all season. He's kept himself in brilliant shape. But the one thing the wee caveat about James Forrest is, I thought Rod Ireland really killed his Celtic career by playing him on the left-hand side. But the new James Forrest is playing his best football for Celtic on the left-hand side. But Maeda's going to start there. So he's going to be back out on the right again. And the version we're seeing of James Forrest just now, he is playing in the goal at Dundee. That's came for the left-hand side. Both of them. Press the defender and then his volley, left-hand side.
I hear you, mate.
You know, I mean, I'm pretty sure his goal...
But could you just be keeping it simple on the right though, mate? Like, he'll make the right decisions when it comes to getting to the byline. He'll do it when the timing is right. When it comes to playing a pass, he'll make the pass on time. And I still think these fundamentals have been missing. I think Palmer crosses when he should shoot and shoots when he should cross. I think with Kuhn, he looks gun shy when it comes to cross and shooting. I think he does the difficult bits and then he just looks a bit nervy. There's a lack of conviction in his final execution of the ball so far. Whereas Forrest will get these basic decisions, it might seem, but he'll get them right, even on the right-hand side of midfield. He'll get these decision-making processes correct, And I still think that brings more value. I do hear you though. I think he's more effective on the left. No two ways. But Maeda is the old firm specialist now. He is what Peter Lovingkrans was for them 20 years ago.
And James Forrest, the thing about him is he can cut inside and run along that 18-yard line as well as going to the byline just as good. You look at him; he's so easy. He's so good at just drifting in and just gliding along that penalty box and creating space for other players. He does that so well, Bhoycie, and he can get to the byline. We've not got any other players that can do that. We've either got players that take one touch and make the move, or somebody who holds on to the ball for too long and dithers and passes it backwards. James Forrest can carry a ball. He can glide in, as I says, and create space for O'Reilly's and all the rest of it. So he's so unpredictable. I think that's an asset for Celtic because you don't know what he's going to do, and he's that good at doing both. I think he's going to cause him problems on Saturday.
So you do think he'll start?
He's going to start, Bhoycie. I think you can't take Yang or Palmer seriously. You got to kind of like to say, like, write them off. They were projects that didn't work. And Kuhn is the other option that I think Kuhn, maybe a sub. I don't think Kuhn's the answer for Celtic, Bhoycie. I think if he dropped into a Hearts team, I don't think he would impress me that much. He showed
it's a lack of courage, mate. It's courage at the final ball. His final decision making and execution, mate, just seems to lack a wee bit of bollocks, does it not?
Sometimes you could say, you can definitely say that could definitely be a thing, but the good players don't have that mind block, Bhoycie. They make a decision.
True.
If that guy's a winger, I'm going to suggest he's probably been playing a winger in adult football for maybe 7-8 years. He should know what his job is: get the ball wide and cross it in, or come in and make his pass. He should know what he's got to do. You know what I mean? And he knows. So if he's got indecision, he's got indecision about his ability at this level. And I think if you get indecision at a very, very, very poor league like Scotland, then you're probably not good enough for Celtic. To be quite honest with you. So I think James Forrest is going to start. I mean, James Forrest he's always been a good defender. He always tracks back, and I think that's how he won.
Does he know it and responsibility as well, eh?
I think the Paddy Roberts James Forrest battle was won by James Forrest eventually because James Forrest.
I agree.
Because he tracks back. I thought Paddy Roberts was just as effective, if no more effective, going forward. But at Celtic were letting teams in quite a lot, and I thought, especially derby matches, James Forrest always get the nod because he tracks back quite a lot. His
goal contributions are more definitive as well, Matt. Let's be honest. He had more definitive numbers than Patrick Roberts. Patrick Roberts had the fills. And by the way, I thought he was a very good player for Celtic. And I think Rodgers liked him.
That's right.
But I thought when you look at Forrest's actual contributions stats-wise, he was definitely the more definitive argument. And I think you're right. He won that battle. Let's go on to another one. Dougie Sharp comes in and he's saying, we all agree Scales is a great third choice centre-half. Jiggy's contract announcement was deliberate to boost him before Saturday to ensure a solid performance for him. I know your take on this, Mark, and I actually subscribed to it. I think it was almost in plain sight what Celtic's ambitions are for the summer. And they're saying, get the money in quick, but trust me, we ain't changing. But you've no choice now. Mm-hmm. Because the season tickets are due, and this is the road we are going down. I don't want it to turn into a anti-Liam Scales thing, because Liam Scales has outperformed what we thought Liam Scales was capable of. Do I think, though, one good season where Rodgers doesn't rate any of the centre-backs and the best of a bad bunch wants another 4-year deal, and doing it on the back of on the same day as announcing season ticket renewals with such a short deadline? I'm not convinced that was a wise move. I think it was in plain sight what Celtic's intentions are for the summer. I think when you look at the Liam Kelly rumours and things like that, get used to this. I'm once bitten, twice as shy, Mark, and I've said that for last summer. I had real ambition for Celtic. I was buzzing that Rodgers was back. I thought there was only one premise he was back on, and I was tricked. I was fooled, and I accept that. Sadly, it was wrong. I blame Rodgers for aspects of that as well, because I'm not convinced. I'm completely wrong in thinking he would have came back under the sort of pretenses that he ended up working under, but he didn't force his hand enough. If Liam Scales as a third choice centre back was the case next season, I'm okay with that. Does it want a 4-year deal? I'm not so sure yet. My concern would be the 4-year deal means that's your centre back for next season on the left hand side.
I think it is, mate. I think you're right to bang on. I think Celtic put all their cards on the table and said, right, on you go, it's your shot next. I think they've told us that Celtic, they'll get very bad PR. We all know the PR is terrible at Celtic, but they know fine well that the very next tweet after the season ticket campaign was a Liam Scales 4-year contract. They know fine well how that was going to go down. I think Liam Scales has been the best defender this season for Celtic, because you can't take Carter Vickers seriously because he's only played about 10 matches. So in the whole, he's been the most consistent defender we've had. Because obviously Taylor and Johnson, I mean, come on. So maybe he deserved increased terms, maybe another year contract on an extra couple of grand a week.
Timing's everything with these things, though. And like we were saying, Roger's comments, I think, are all deliberate and deliberately made. Is it fair to say, Mark, that Celtic's announcements and statements and things like this, they're all deliberately timed as well, aren't they?
Well, I would like to think that a company that turn over £120 million revenue are that stupid that they put out statements and put out contracts without thinking about the optics of it. I'm pretty sure there's at least a proofread statement, or at least goes to the very top before they do things. So they knew fine well that they made a statement. That was a statement to Celtic fan. This is what you're going to get. I mean, Bhoycie, if we get the £60 million and the Martinelli money and maybe an extra 7.5 million if Frimpong goes, that's a clock saying maybe 80 million there, and Tappy we've already got. We will still see somebody coming in for Portsmouth on loan. That is your whack. You'll maybe get Bernardo as the biggest out. We'll maybe buy it. Ida and Bernardo. I think the first game of the season, Scott starts.
I know you've said that. I hope you're wrong with that so much. I don't mean that in a bad way, but I really hope you're wrong.
I think it starts, and I also think Carter Vickers and Scales starts in the middle, and I think also Greg Taylor and Arthur Johnson will be the back four. I think that's your defence for next season. Let's be brutally honest here. We've been into campaigns with worst options. I mean, this is a club that left Brendan Rodgers with Ono O'Connell and Sviatchenko to get us to the Champions League, Bhoycie. That's the reality of it.
Yeah, it's not like it's always been, all Brendan's way in his first spell.
They don't gamble. The Celtic board wouldn't gamble a pound to win 20, Bhoycie. They just wouldn't. They'd rather have a pound and look at it. So we all know.
That's a good point.
And this is how, as we'll talk about the Champions League again, but this is how I've came to the conclusion that Celtic in Europe was just a waste of my Thursday night or Wednesday night. To be quite honest with you, I don't understand why I should get myself upset about a team that the board set us up to lose for. You know what I mean? I'd rather they beat Stranraer than Benfica. If I'm being totally honest with you, Bhoycie, because it means nothing to us. We beat a team. It's a DVD match. That is all it's ever going to be for Celtic. And for me, it's like Clattenacudden winning against Hearts in the Scottish Cup.
That's them winning, though, isn't it? That's what they want, because this season's their dream season where Europe we did the usual, and then by the end of the season is a title race. So it'll look even better, and it'll make Europe even further a distant memory, because just getting ahead of them will be all the sweeter. We're talking about this being Rodgers' biggest achievement. This all plays into their hands perfectly. This is the narratives they want.
This is what I mean. They want us to be so despondent and so about the Champions League and about. This is the thing. We've had a bad window. There you go. Even you 2 minutes ago said that you're not going to fall for it. You know you're going to be getting a loan for Norwich now. You know that. So the conditions you know. They've made somebody who's optimistic turn into somebody who's going to. You already accept the fact we're going to spend 15 million next season and bring in 50. Do you know that? And you're like, oh fuck it.
It's horrible. It's horrible.
I was there. Just so you know, Bhoycie, I was there. I was at your stage 15 years ago. Even they replaced him the last time we had one player.
Yeah. I get that. And I think that's a fair example as well to give. just as we wrap up the show, Mark, there's a couple of good news wee points I want to make to you. You won't know this, but we've got a new contributor joining us.
Oh, brilliant.
Another new one, mate. Now, they've just arrived in the live chat. You'll be buzzing with this one, mate. Our very own Pam, mate. She's joining the bus, mate.
I watched her last night, mate. I'm looking forward to having a wee chin wag on the pod. That's great.
Aye. So we are looking forward to getting Pam on the bus. As everyone knows, Pam has been very lively in the live chat, obviously, over the last couple of years. Big support of the bus. And yes, she is looking forward to coming on and will hopefully, it brings a bit of diversity to the channel. I think that's all these important things, Mark, these days. But not just that. I actually think Pam's views will be much respected by everyone because they've all kind of got to know her. Our online sort of profile in the live chat, as everyone's got to know each other in the community that's been built. So getting Pam on as a regular contributor strengthens the team, and exciting times ahead. I'm sure you share those thoughts.
Well, since I've come on this show, she's been a regular on every pod, and she's been promoting the show as much as possible. So it's good to have her on, and she's never anything but positive about the pod. I mean, a lot of times that we say things that people don't agree with, that's fine, and there's never any negative feedback for Pam. So it's good to see her coming on. And
yeah,
we've got a New Yorker. Well, she's Irish, but from New York. Somebody for Canada, somebody for Rutherglen, and somebody for where are you, Dunfermline now? Where are you staying again? Still in. So we've got people from the globe. You know what I mean? I don't know who's next, but we're continental.
Johnny Lokey's in Lincoln.
He's in Lincoln. Aye, sometimes he's in Barbados. Sometimes he's.
Aye.
You know what I mean? But I'm looking forward to it. That'll be great. I'm glad she's an avid viewer of the pod, so she'll probably be buzzing just as much as we are to have her on. So welcome to the team, Pam.
Nice one, Mark. Nice one. Well, we will be back tomorrow night with that Friday feeling. There'll be undoubtedly more views ahead of the Derby match. Other news for the channel as well. We're going to do a new series in the summer months. I'm going to interview each and every one of the bus team. We've obviously been doing it a couple of years now, Mark, and I think it's better to do these type of shows. I think we were looking at doing it at the beginning. And when I look back, it might have been a wee bit self-indulgent, but now folk have got to know us all for a couple of years. We're going to start doing. I'm going to interview each and every one of you, talking about your favourite Celtic memories, your Celtic sort of history, how you got embodied in this, talk about your experience on the bus, and maybe gives a bit of insight as to who the judge is day to day, mate, because I'm sure folk will want to know that. And we'll do that. We'll do a wee round robin, and that'll give us some sort of content over the summer as well, when it can be a wee bit lean in terms of talking. If our transfer predictions are right, then it will be very lean, slim pickings for talking points. So we're looking forward to bringing all that to you this summer. The series will be called Under the Bonnet, and we're looking forward to. It'll be myself, one-on-one with each member of the bus. I know you don't
I like that one. I don't know. Did you think of that one?
I did, mate. I didn't no thought process involved, mate. I just said it in a text. And I was like, that sounds good.
Sounds pretty good. I think you thought of that name before you thought of the content, didn't you?
Mate, it just flows, mate. It just flows. Anyway, that has been absolutely brilliant. Gary Brown says, and we mentioned to Phil for standing in and doing a great job. Gary, he got his absolute, he's got his flannels, I think they call it in the modern era, at the very top of the show as well, mate. Don't worry about that. I was couldn't have been more thankful to Phil for his contributions and grateful to it. So I will repeat that though, just to keep yourself happy, mate. But yes, a big thank you to Phil and the rest of the team who have been driving the bus so well in my absence. We will be back tomorrow for that Friday feeling. For myself and the judge, and I've got wee Bobo beside me now. We will see you all later. Thanks so much for watching. And here's to the weekend. See you.